What's up?
Hello, hello, hello.
Oh, this is Hiram,
This is BK.
Chris.
and we have a special guest today, Gotti Rubin. Uh, this is the first post film festival podcast, so we're a little rusty, but we're also very excited.
Yeah.
Because of our guest. And by the way, when I was listening to that intro music, Gotti, I got to be honest with you. Um, I have rhythm, but I was thinking out of all of us, he could probably outdance all of us.
Oh yeah.
Oh, because of the shirt.
Well, the shirt, but yeah, just your spirit, man.
I fooled you. I'm a horrible dancer, but I look like I can dance. That's
okay, but you know that's half the battle right there.
It is.
You fake it till you make it.
Yeah, what's the deal with the shirt? I mean, it's cool. I was just wondering, like, where it's from or what's up.
I think it's from like Urban. I don't have a story behind it. It wasn't like I was at a Jimmy Buffett concert or anything, but it certainly looks like it.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
It's fun.
It does.
It's fun. Yeah.
Well, this is the first post film festival podcast, and several weeks back we had a blast, and we met so many amazing people, so many talented people, and one of the highlights, and I say this with the utmost respect, was meeting you. We liked the naming of the things.
Yes.
Though we discussed this at the festival, the way that you chose to begin the film, as not because he wasn't just the actor, he was also the director and a co-writer, correct?
Yeah, I wrote it. Yeah.
You wrote it, so you did it all. So the way that you began it, on a dock, looking at the heavens, and it was interesting. And then we met you, and you just seemed like a colorful person, like a very interesting person. You're a father, you're a husband, you're a director, and it just seems like you you like to have fun with life. Are we wrong with that too?
No. I mean, I think the pursuit of fun is definitely important in the arts as much as possible. Choosing shirts, that's step one. A loud and colorful shirt, and the rest you'll find yourself propelled by it, I guess. Yeah, no, I think so. I think I try to have fun. I painted this room purple because I wanted a fun color. And I don't know very many people have purple rooms. So
your character and the naming of the things, I have zero doubt that there's some of you in that character, but there's also like a propriety to him, but yeah, there seems to be like a difference, a dichotomy between you and who you play in that movie.
Yeah, I guess I grew up like in the religious Jewish community, and I think I was always pushing against that. Part of the exploration of the film is, just going back and thinking about what it was like growing up there. And, it is very buttoned up and serious and morose at times. And I always found myself like being the silly one, which got me thrown out of class all the time. Mostly for acting and doing nonsense in the back, doing voices or whatnot. But yeah, I think, it's also for those listening in who haven't seen it, it takes place the first few hours of a young man's at his wife's funeral at his shiva. So, I mean, it is a formal occasion. And yeah, I think there's also, whenever we attend family events or funerary things, right? It is formal. We have to behave in a certain way. We have to, no matter how especially funerals, we feel all the different things we feel, but we have to behave because, our family's around, the community is, society would think we're a nutcase if, we don't.
Well, it's 100% society.
Yeah.
Different countries, different societies do funerals very different way. In the Shiva, my son's mother, just a friend right now, we're not together anymore, but she's Israeli.
Put that out there.
No. What I'm saying is she's Israeli, and she would talk to me about a Shiva. If anything ever happened, this is what you would have to do. And just the thought of it alone was like, oh my gosh, please, everybody stay well, stay alive. I don't want to have to deal with
that. Right.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, nobody wants to go to funerals or things like that. But part of the film is also exploring the structure. With all things Jewish, everything's very, very structured. And during COVID, a lot of people that I knew passed away, and I'd been to a lot of shivas. And the one thing that I noticed at all the shivas, and speaking to people who have been to other religious funerals, is the one common theme is there's too much food. And it's this weird issue that arises of like every shiva I went to in the pantry or in the kitchen, they're hiding all the bagels everybody's bringing, and there seems to be it becomes this sort of this silly pyramid of where do we hide all the bagels. And I recently showed the film elsewhere, and somebody was telling me they grew up Italian, and they just said like we ended up throwing out lasagnas or donating it to the fire department because everyone would bring a lasagna to the funeral, or after the funeral. Yeah, and so that's something that stood out to me, and I thought it's really funny in a way because we all do it, but nobody takes a step back and thinks about like they probably are all set on food.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Something comforting and something kind of like to either embrace the idea of like, okay, this is what we have to do after that.
Yeah.
We still have to gather, we still have to be apart. That's why people do repasses or whatever like that, like in other religions or cultures or whatever. So yeah, it was definitely a fun look at the difficulties that arise during those times.
So we have to ask you, first of all, we want to know, a brief resume, see what you've done. I know you said you began in theater and you also have some credits, on TV and all that, which is wonderful. But then we're going to ask you about the origins. So the person independent of the project, Gotti Rubin, where have you been and then how did you start?
Okay, so I was born in Manhattan. We moved around a lot. My dad was in international marketing, so we went Manhattan to Mexico City to New Jersey, New Jersey to Jerusalem, Jerusalem to London, London back to New Jersey. Then I took a year off after high school, and I went back to Israel and studied for a year. Then I went to school in St. Louis, and then moved back to the tri-state area. Been there ever since.
Wow.
And so I didn't really do much performing as a kid. I did like one production of like Joseph in the Technicolor Dreamcoat when I was like 8.
And that's an impression on you.
Right.
No, it didn't. It really, I was like in the background and singing along. But I was always fascinated with movies. And since we were moving around, we had this huge collection of VHS and later DVDs, which many I'm sure were actually bootleg from Asia. When my dad would travel there, he'd come back with a But this was before streaming, and that was sort of my cultural connection to the United States. And I'm sure as you guys are all movie nuts, like you remember the days of blockbusters and like the frustration with having finished your local blockbuster of like you've seen everything. For me, other than like, because I was a kid at the time, other than like romance, I'd seen every single, and horror because I wasn't into that at the time, but I'd seen every action adventure movie, every comedy. Right, you finish all the sections. So that was always.
I miss those days, honestly.
Yeah,
I used to love the blockbuster sales when for $20 you used to get 5 movies. Oh
yeah,
I still have them.
Oh, and I was just talking to my brothers about this, that I'm trying to track down a film that there was a straight to VHS home video that we had, and I can't figure this out. I'm gonna have to do more Googling, but there was a trailer for a film that we always saw on that, and it had like it was animated, and it had a prince who was, it was sort of like a knockoff of Aladdin. I don't know what this movie was, but it was one of those things that like kind of fell by the wayside on VHS, and I always wanted to track down. But yeah, those days.
Knockoff of Aladdin. Got to keep that in mind. Yes.
I don't know. There was like a minaret or something. I don't know. But
a minaret?
I think I know what he's talking You
See,
did.
our buddy Christian over here, who's a filmmaker at the festival too, he doesn't have a microphone, but like many people that are in this world, they're pop culture like encyclopedias. He might know what the movie is, so hopefully we could get some
Okay.
resolution for
He
you.
does like scream it out. Yeah, it was like a knockoff Aladdin, and there's something to do with a minaret and like pearls or something on the minaret that they were trying to save. I don't know. But yeah, so I did that. Then I'd always played a lot of music growing up, piano and saxophone and bass guitar a lot. So I was into performing. Then in college, I majored in theater, and I was a jazz performance minor and did some Shakespeare, did a little bit of everything. And when I came to the city after college, I realized I was always a film guy who, got pulled into the theater world, and I like acting and directing on stage, but I think in pictures, and it's really a film thing. And I've been sort of a working actor for the last 10 years. I've directed some stage. I've appeared on stage. I've done some roles for it's shows on CBS and HBO. So that's where I am now, and recently a father. Yeah, 4.5 months ago. So
Oh my gosh, what a
Congrats.
beautiful you sent us that picture.
Yeah.
Out of respect for you and your family, we chose not to show it. But oh, what a
Yeah,
beautiful
it was very
child.
cool.
What is your son's name?
his name is Ash, and currently my wife is trying to get him to sleep, but he's being uncooperative.
There's a surprise.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? My son just turned 13. And it's been 13 years of bliss. And the good by far outweighs any obnoxious moments or anything like that. That's nothing.
Yeah.
So very, 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 very happy for you. So the naming of the things. Um, you said you wrote it, you created it. When did you begin, the concept of it to it and then to its fruition?
It's one of those really, really uneven, messy, dirty
Always is.
paths. Yeah, I wanted to write a pilot, and in a way, this was going to be the first act of the pilot. And he was actually going to end up going back to work at his like Jewish school his day school that he went to as a kid, and kind of through that community be rebuilt with the students and the faculty there. As I was writing it, this was kind of my first thing that I wrote by myself. I realized the responsibility of a pilot is colossal, and I wasn't ready to tackle all of it, right? Because you have to set up all the characters, their arc for the season. A note I kept getting back when I was writing a pilot was like, okay, cool, but we need to be able to see 5 seasons in the pilot. And it's like, yeah, all right. And when I would read really good pilots, I'd be like, yep, I see the whole show here. So I ended up making it a little shorter, and I realized it could act as a short film. And I think I wrote during COVID, and I was walking a lot. I was on like this weight loss journey where I ended up dropping like 55 pounds during COVID.
Wow.
And
Nice job.
thank you. And that was basically just walking in a local park, like just doing laps and laps and laps and laps and laps. And I just kept thinking about it. And until basically by the time I sat down to actually write it, I had worked out most of it in my head.
And yourself.
Which you can do for 9 pages. If it were longer, you probably couldn't, but the broad strokes of it. And yeah, and actually Yuri, who was the actor opposite me, he's a friend of mine, and we studied together, and he actually rewrote part of that last scene in the callback. There was sort of, I liked the idea of what I'd written, but it wasn't working. And because he knows me very well, and he's very skilled, he's just like, Gotti, can I just like rewrite this right now? And I'm like, please fix this. And he did. I was like, yep, that's way better, which is great. But yeah, that was basically the writing process. We cast it, then we shot it. It was 3 days. One day was just the water stuff that we did, just me and the DP basically. because we didn't really want to draw attention to ourselves to shooting out on the water there and have the Coast Guard called on us, or whomever gets called if you're out doing that. And then the other 2 days, then we did one weekend, which all the narrative stuff, all the dialogue scenes. So yeah.
That is wonderful. And now, the naming of the things. What has his journey been like? Festivals, reception, and all of that.
Yeah, we've shown it in several different states. There's one festival in England that had us. I couldn't be there. I think we have 1 or 2 more left, but I think there have been about 15 festivals that have screened it. One just screened this past weekend in Manhattan, and it was cool to screen in Manhattan, and it was in a dine-in theater too, which was fun. They were going around, people, like, somebody ordered a burger during the block, which I thought was like awesome. And I didn't realize until afterwards, like, I could have ordered beers. Like, not until the end, I looked over, I was like, wait a second, they had a bar here? But it's great. It's always fun to go to the different festivals and see. Your festival was unique in that it was basically a 1-day block.
Yes.
It's just you just keep going, and I think I was there all day, and it was like, okay, I went for lunch and I came back, and there was different things, and you can kind of take it as you will. Where most are very structured, right? There's like a drama block or family drama block, then there's young filmmakers block, and it was kind of cool to just kind of see everything together in a way that they aren't trying to filter your brain in a way. Where when I was screening with you guys, it was just it was cool to just sit in and almost not know what's next, and just not read the brief and just, all right, what's next? Let's see.
Right. Yeah.
That's awesome. You know what? The fact that you were there, that he was there all day, was really cool to us. We appreciate it. And yes, there was. We honestly tried to fit as many filmmakers as we could in the time that we had. Obviously, there were some films that don't get in, and some of them honestly don't deserve to get in. But you know what? We owe it to the local filmmaker to do what we can. I mean, that's our niche, and we have international films, but we also aim to have a lot of local films. That helps us with attendance, and it helps give a platform to your movie to know that you came this time, but to know, can you imagine that your family came and that was the first time that the movie was screened, and it was screened in a movie theater, and you got laughs and you got feedback from the crowd and all of that. That would mean the absolute world to us. And the only thing that would have been better for us actually is if we would have been in the theater watching the movies with you. But this was our first year obviously in Red Bank too, so we have a lot to grow on. Maybe next year it'll be a 3-day festival instead of 2. We don't know.
On Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah. Okay. That's wonderful. So you said you have a couple more festivals until the short has had its festival run. So number one, what happens to it afterwards, and then where do you pivot?
I think there's one more that I'm aware of. I think I'm still waiting to hear back from a few, but I think this is going to be the last one. But after that, I have a couple of other things I want to write and work on. But not sure, whether or not I will continue to try to develop this into a pilot. I'm unsure. There's a couple of other ideas I think that I have right now that I don't know if I'd say are stronger, but they are more exciting to me, and they're funnier. So I think I'd rather do that than I wrote a drama pilot that's a 60-minute drama pilot, and I realized afterwards I'm just like, I'm sad. This was it was really heavy subject matter. I'm just like, man, I don't know if I want to work on this forever. Man, this is rough. So I have a comedy pilot that I've been kicking around in my head. So I guess I'll have to walk, a couple marathons until I have it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But
that's the
yeah,
process.
I mean, this is also my first short, so I don't really know what happens at the end of the rainbow with shorts.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know.
You put
Put it
them
on.
in streaming platforms. You can
Yeah.
put them online.
Yeah, I guess I can put them up online. I had somebody reach out to me about a streaming platform, so that would be cool to see if somebody would stream it, or and sometimes they have those collections they do of like
Yes.
streaming shorts. Yeah, that would be awesome. But it also, in a way, was a test for me, or sort of dipping my toe in the water of like, oh, this was the first thing I had written and directed, and like being not just acting. So in a lot of ways, that was a great success of, it got into places, it showed, it made people talk and think about it. So in a way, that was validating for me. So like, yeah, I deserve to be here, as we all do. And I feel, not here, but here on this planet,
Right.
here on this earth.
Right.
And I want to write and direct, and that's great. I should do it.
Oh, absolutely. I think you definitely belong in the arts, and you absolutely belong on this earth, especially now,
right,
Dad.
Yeah,
especially now.
Need to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Speaking of completely random, what did you choose to drink? What were you drinking?
Right now, I'm drinking a Wegmans brand seltzer, passion fruit.
Which one is it?
Passion fruit.
Of what brand?
Wegmans. It's their.
Oh, nice. I haven't had those yet. I love seltzers.
So,
Diana got me into them.
My wife,
my wife swears by those.
Yeah, by
Wegmans ones.
Yeah, so many cases in our house.
Oh yeah,
cases.
Yeah,
they have cases. So
that's cool.
Well, I have one question about the film. What's one thing you took away from this? But like, we can say after the festival, but as this film is kind of gearing towards its end of the festival run, what's like one thing you've been able to take away from it? Being your first short film you wrote, directed, and acted in.
I guess I can break that into two things. Like the filmmaking side and the showing side were two different things. Of like the filmmaking side, it was basically to trust and listen to all your collaborators and the people you hire, because if they argue with you, there's probably a reason, and they're probably right. And as I sit and watch it, those things where, whether it was the editor or another actor, those parts where I remember that there was a heated discussion, and I eventually said, yep, we'll go with your thing. I am so thankful. Every time I watch, I was like, oh my God, thank God I listened to them.
That's really big, whether you believe that or not, honestly. I think kind of working with people, putting your ego aside, especially if you're like the director and writer, you're so attached to it, right? I think it's important to just get an idea. Like really quickly, Christian, we did a film last month. You were running audio, but you were still like pulling the director aside and like giving him ideas and stuff. That's the kind of set I think that's the kind of set I want to always be a part of. I don't care if you're a PA or whatever. Like if you have an idea that could possibly help out the film. And I think like what you said your process was, if you're like, you know what, you're right, and then you can look back at the final piece and know that like that was the right decision. I think that's not a lot of people get to that point where they can just put their ego aside.
Yeah, I mean, and in a perfectly selfish way, you end up looking better. So it's actually, even if you can't let go of it egoically, it's a net benefit. And it's sort of this thing that I hear a lot in the film industry, where I'm a big Christopher Nolan fan, but you hear about like, oh, Christopher Nolan, invented this new IMAX black and white. It's like, no, the people they're people with PhDs in organic chemistry did it, but he collaborated and he listened to them, and he ends up with the credit. But like, what about those people?
Yes.
It's the same thing. But no, film is the greatest collaborative art form. I strongly believe in that. And especially because I was acting it, I wrote it, and I directed it, it seemed, then definitely I can get tunnel vision. And then when people are like, hey, hey, what about this?
Right.
You know, it's great. It's great to be awoken from that. And in terms of the screenings, I found that somebody mentioned this to me, that short films are more about the discussion they create than the story you tell. Because oftentimes in a short story, you know, mine's a hair under 10 minutes. It's hard to become invested in characters and a whole journey. You know, that's why we have 90-minute plus features, is so that you learn who all these people are. But if it gets people thinking and talking and asking questions, then that is the success of a short film. And when I heard that, I was like, oh, okay, cool. But now I'm kind of seeing it, of the short films that have stuck with me, you know, because I've probably seen 300 now running around to festivals, of like, it's the ones that made me think, not so much the plot or the story. It was more like, it's an interesting idea, or I hadn't thought about that relationship.
Right.
Specifically, like, yeah.
I think that's the unique thing about short films, is that they have to tell that story, whatever that story is, or whatever they're wanting to convey to the audience, or what they're just making up for themselves, but giving to us. It's this small time frame that they have to kind of compact things down. And I think it's become a really good way to let people know, like, okay, this was a story. It could be embellished, it could be, you know, thought out, it could be made into either a pilot or a full feature or whatever, or it may just be a tasteful hors d'oeuvre done on its own. You know what I'm saying? So the reality is, short film has its place, I think, in a storytelling way, but it's really, I think, probably more difficult because of all the constraints of condensing it down. So
yes. Well, you also said something that I honestly never really thought about. It to us personally, you know, seeing you and all the other filmmakers walk through the door, you know, it's a delight to us.
Yeah.
We lived with your project for a while.
Yeah.
You know, before you ever met us, we saw it because you submitted it to us, and we ruminate about it and think about it and talk about it and all that. And well, finally we get to meet Gotti Rubin. You know, finally we get to meet Hunter Nicholas, you know, or you know, whoever
Right.
shows up. And it's like every person there is a nugget, is a story, it's a discussion, you know, it's a mindset, you know, just like a song. Whenever you're a musician, a song, sometimes it gets you for the words, but the thing about songs are like time capsules. They bring you back to the moment in time and the way you were feeling and everything, and there's so much caught into that one little moment. And I think that, damn, that's freaking short films.
Yeah.
That's short films, even more than features.
Yeah.
It's like there's so many different worlds. You know, every short film, you said you watch hundreds of them. Every one of them is a different flavor, a different smell, a different feel, a different thought.
Yeah.
Some of them bring you to dark places.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy. I'm sorry, but that really, really awesome revelation. Thank you.
Yeah, it's sort of, and please, if I confuse this film with another one, there was a film, I believe it was there, that I think it was a Ukrainian film.
Yes. I know exactly which one you're talking about, with the little girl.
With the little girl, yeah.
Was it? Wasn't Hedgehog, was it?
It was Hedgehog.
Hedgehog,
yes.
yeah,
Hedgehog.
Which I looked up later, and I think it's the name of some kind of mine or something that's used there. Hedgehog, I can't remember, but you know, that story, which I remember when it started, I was like, okay, a story like this has basically 3 endings. It can go. And then what I found out at the end is, I didn't care which ending it went with. It was more like I was in that world for a second.
Yeah.
You know, he can be saved, he can be a bad guy, or he can, you know, or maybe they both kill each other, right? Like, in terms of story arc, I realized, like, yeah, that's not important.
Right.
Because I think very analytically about these things. That I was like, I'm here in this world, in this shed in, I don't know, somewhere in the Donbass or wherever that was, and you know, I'm in it. And that, you know, that film in particular stood out to me.
I agree. Something funny about that movie, and I'll show the actress, the young girl. Her name is Emma Pearson. The day after the film festival. I go to the same theater, and the director screened one of the films that I was in, that I played a part in. She's in that movie.
Oh wow!
And
No way.
yes, and I didn't even know. It's funny because I saw her in the movie. You know how sometimes in other projects you don't meet the whole cast.
No.
You whoever you have scenes with, you meet. That there was no table read, there was no rap party or anything. And I'm like, she's a little taller now. So I'm like, oh, that girl looks a lot like. And of course, I go check the IMDb, and I'm like, what do you know? I was in Night of the Harvest. Her name is Emma Pearson. But that movie really, I wish she was in the theater at first and then she left. And that's when it clicked. I wish I would have told her. She really, child actors sometimes like really surprise me with their depth of character and I'm like, how do they do it? I would be in my head, when doing that character, but they don't seem to be, which is awesome. But yes, it's a great film, Hedgehog.
That one absolutely was fantastic and stood out to me. And not from Red. I don't think that was from Red Bank. I would assume that was not a local film.
No, it wasn't.
Well, I mean, like circling back though, that's how I felt about your film. I even told you that, like at the festival, like it was your film led us into like your world. I'm Italian. Our funerals are nothing like you were saying. All different ethnicities and backgrounds have different ways of grieving, and but the one common thing is there's always so much food, and they think food is going to grieve. Whenever you're grieving over something, whether someone passes away or someone, something else, everyone always thinks food's going to help. And I think that was the comedic element in a very, glimpse in this day in the life of this character. And I think short films do good short films do really good at that. Like the glimpse in it, because obviously, you have more time in a feature film to flesh out. Okay, even if it's just one day, like a feature film is just like one day, you get to go like hour by hour in that day. But short films, you don't have if you want to make a solid, under 10 minutes short film, it's, that's how you get it. And I think that's what I resonate with your film and a bunch of other films that we were able to screen too. So yeah.
Yes. And we see a lot of short films. Some of them are not all that short.
Right.
If you have to do a short film that's for more than 20 minutes, or you could do a feature. You could develop what happened. No.
It's giving you the look.
It's true.
It's giving you the look.
Hey, our buddy here did a longer short film. It was like 20-something minutes, right?
Listen, it's my fault. It's one of those things where it's like in retrospect, I know.
No, that's fine. And you know what? I'm glad I don't have your job, because you guys are filmmakers. When you think so much and so many walks, and you think of all these ideas and concepts, you storyboard it, and then it's time to hit the editing.
Yeah.
How do you do that? That's
hire a good editor. That's the answer. Because I edit it myself just for a like. Oh no, spilling over the stuff.
Beat the clock.
Good.
So we're good. So you edit it for by yourself.
So just like as an exercise, I was just like, I'm going to edit myself while I was looking for an editor, not intending ever to share that with anybody. I think his edit ended up being 3.5 minutes shorter than mine, which when you're talking about a 10-minute movie, 35% reduction.
Yes.
And that's just because every single moment I'm like, oh, I love this. Look how interesting this is.
Right.
Yeah.
He's like, you're slowing it down. Because I showed him my cut. He's like, okay, you don't need any of this. And before I had written it, somebody gave me the advice of as close to or under 10 minutes as possible, just for scheduling. He's just like, just think as a scheduler, like if you do 20 minutes, 25 minutes, like, they could show 5-minute films in that time, and your film needs to be better or be more interesting than 5 other films. And, think about it as that opportunity cost. And I was like, oh yeah.
Wow.
Yes. Well, I think it's easier. 20 minutes, 22, 24, whatever. That's kind of the limit. The reason why I said what I said wasn't because of I saw a movie submitted that was 37 minutes long.
Oh yeah. What was it? 37?
37, yes.
At that point, yeah, you just
Yeah.
make it 80 minutes, and that's technically a
Yes.
that's technically a feature in some film festivals.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can make an episodic.
Yeah.
Or do a pilot.
Yeah.
Because then, you're 22 or 44 and you're there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. But you know what? It's highly dependent on the project, and some of them work, some of them, don't. We've had movies that are wonderful after the first 7 minutes.
Yeah.
In other words, there's a lot of landscapes and the dialogue begins at the 7-minute mark, and then it gets amazing. But you're like, oh my gosh, like,
It's not Wall-E. Yeah.
Right.
Yes. But all all that being said, I'm glad I'm not the director. I'm glad I'm not the editor, because I can't imagine doing it. Much respect to all of you filmmakers out there.
Yeah.
You guys are very, very good at what you do. What?
No, I'm just watching him play the violin.
The smallest.
Violin.
Yeah.
I thought he had a
No.
He's rolling some bread or something like that. I don't know. That was obnoxious. Please, God, forgive me. Well, Mr. Rubin, what was your, before, obviously we really appreciate you coming. Before you leave, give us your quick, if you were going to tell people about Hang On to Your Shorts, what would you tell them?
I'd say it's a cool way to jump into the film festival world. I saw some fantastic films. I didn't have to stay all day. I did because I enjoyed the films. And definitely submit, check it out. If you haven't made a film, you can do it. Get your friends together. Try to keep it under 20 minutes. And yeah, it was a great time. I had some great food, actually. I went across the street for dinner. There's that two-story place that has a like Asian fusion place. It was great.
Teak. Yeah.
Yeah, I had great pad thai there.
Nice.
Yeah, it was.
And you were going to go like to Dunkin' Donuts or something at first, weren't you? Or to
remember that, but that sounds
something
right.
like-
That sounds like I'm a huge Dunkin' Donuts person, so I thought I was going to get like a bagel. Yeah,
I think at first. Yeah. To be fair, I was surprised because I didn't see him for a while. Then I'm like, hey, he's still here. Awesome.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
no, but it was a great. It was really a pleasure to be there, and thanks for having me. And the films, at the end of the day, it's the films that make you stay in the theater, and those I had a blast, and it was great watching all of them, really.
Awesome. Well, what we hope to do for next year, which we did not get to do this year, we want to have more filmmaker events, because I'm glad you saw a lot of good films. We are very glad you saw, but what we really enjoy is when there are connections made during the film festival.
Yeah.
And then
Networking
and maybe something is born out of that. And we've seen it in the past that people that meet in our festival a year, 2 years later have a film in the festival. Yeah. And we found out that they met at the festival.
Awesome.
Which is...
Can I throw out an idea? Because I've been to a lot of film festivals and I've always wanted this to be an event. Feel free to throw it away. Filmmaker speed dating, where we all basically do speed dating, and you have like 3 minutes with like filmmakers, and you rotate so everybody can meet as many people as they want. You can exchange Instagrams, because a lot of the networking events I go to are in like bars, and it's super loud, and it's sort of like, huh? What? What's your what? Huh? And then you end up with Instagramming these people, and then a day later you look and you're like, who is that? I don't remember.
Yep.
Right.
I think we'd call it speed networking.
Speed networking, speed filmmaker speeding, whatever you want.
Speeding. Yeah, that works. Actually, that's a really freaking cool
that
idea.
is.
Yeah, that's just something that every time I'm at these film festivals, I'm like, man, I wish there was a structured way I could just like meet as many people. And, then if you just like speed dating, if you want to continue the conversation about like your project, my project, then great.
You know what, gentlemen, this is what I propose. I think that's a great idea. If we could pull that off next year, I think he should come and host it.
Definitely.
Or I can just come and sit at a table and just kind of talks to me. And then otherwise, yeah. But,
all right. Yeah, you could be. Absolutely.
That's cool, man.
That would work too.
Give me a little microphone and we'll do it.
we'd have your Pad Thai and your Dunkin'
There
Donuts.
you go. That's my contract. You heard it here.
Yeah. See,
Yes, absolutely, brother. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. Maybe with God's help in a couple of years, you'll bring your son tagging along, and that would be wonderful. And your wife, and you can make it a family event. And wherever you go down the road, even if it is not a short film, please let us know, because we would love to help you promote whatever it is that you do.
Thank you. Add you to the MailChimp.
Absolutely.
Mail blast. Absolutely.
We've been really poor at that. Like, we need to take a cue from him and Rich Lullo and everybody that does MailChimp. Absolutely, brother.
Full disclosure, I started like last week, so I'm only like a week ahead of you guys. But I'm already like, you guys need to do it.
You need this.
No, absolutely. Why not? Sure. That's a beauty. The 21st century allows us to do this. 20-something years ago, it would be very difficult to do what we're doing. So thank you, technology. Eventually, it'll take all our jobs, but whatever. We're not talking about that yet.
For now.
Yeah, for now, we're good.
Yeah.
Yes. No. So thank you so much, sir. Really appreciate it. You have a wonderful night, and you better believe we're going to be talking about the naming of the things, for some time to come. All right.
Awesome. All right. Thank you guys so much.
No problem. Have a good night, man.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
All right. That was good. That's good.
That was awesome. He's very engaging, really positive young man. I don't mean to sound old,
older, not old, right?
Yeah. It is what it is. But like,
well, I'm older than you, so you can't be old.
No, of course not. There were so many amazing people that we met, and so many amazing, so many fun things and crazy things that happened this year at the festival, that we're going to be dissecting this for the next couple of podcasts.
Yeah, I think that's a safe bet.
I do believe it is a tentative join, but Miss Sarah Ceballos, Dr. Ceballos,
yes,
said that she will join us for our next podcast. So we'll be discussing the movie Hero.
Oh, nice. Mm-hmm. Jesse says he wants to hop on too.
Jesse's always welcome to hop on. That's
but yeah, Sarah, she's awesome.
Yes.
Cheers, lads.
Right now?
Cheer.
What?
Like right now?
No. Just in.
I was like, wait.
Just in general, he's right. He's
okay. So this is what we had before was wonderful.
Oh my God.
Vapor rings.
It's like chocolate milk.
Yes, it is. Yes. A beautiful thing. I actually haven't had this. This is actually either a birthday gift or Christmas or something. 2021. Wow, I don't know where that came from. I must have pulled that out of the closet.
Yes.
Probably did. Because I was going to bring Morning Bean tonight, which is a coffee infused stout, bourbon barrel aged. But I saw this one. I was like, this might be.
See, what Gotti does not know is that before we were in Red Bank, we were in Asbury Park, and in Asbury Park, we've had people be our sponsors in the past, and at least 2 years, and the location that we hosted the awards and some of the sets, actually several of the locations served alcohol, and you could do that. You could go grab a beer and watch a movie or 10. And that was fun. That's something that we have to find again in Red Bank. We will get there.
Yeah, either that or ask them what it would take for us to have something there.
Yes, it would have to be a fully private event, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay. We can make it happen. Absolutely.
Sure.
See, I saved this idea. I think that this is a great idea.
Film
festival speed dating.
Now, two weeks from now, we'll be like, why are we dating? Why do we?
No.
Who are we dating?
I'm joking. You're gonna remember.
Yes. No. And you know what? Christian Cortez raised his hand.
I was just like, yes, it's a good idea.
It is a very cool idea.
Absolutely, he'd be down. And you know what? This is why we do this. This is why we go. Of course, we love the art, but equally as exciting is to meet the filmmakers, creatives, and they are influencers. Because creative people and artists, they leave a wake wherever they travel, and they meet people, and collaborations are born. Gotti said several times, mentioned the word collaboration. You gentlemen were talking about something before we came up here.
Oh yeah. So the day after the festival, we filmed a short film. Jesse, who directed First Day of Vacation, he ended up coming up for the weekend, and we spent Friday night and Saturday night at the festival.
By the way, excuse me, before I have to just say this. He definitely, while he was a great guy and a cool character and a very, very cool guy, because I hung out with him for a little bit on a walk over to Starbucks and stuff like that. Very, very, very cool guy, Jesse. He was not who I was going to think he was, because I got to be honest with you, the way that script was done and the stuff that was put into the script, I would have thought he was like 45, 50 years old, like retrospectively looking at some thing that happened in his life, because that's how well it was done. I mean, I got done watching that movie, and not just your acting and your whatever you want to call it, co-star did a phenomenal job, but just the script itself, I was just like, holy shit. Like, and I did not expect somebody in, like, what is he, in his 20s?
He's 9 years younger than me. He's 27. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, no way, but that was,
I mean, I think that just is a testament to, your influences in terms of, who you watch, who you try to emulate, whether it be, his favorite filmmaker is Richard Linklater. But it's also like, you, not to go off on a complete tangent, but the one thing I love about being a filmmaker and being a part of a film festival is I get to now watch projects. Like right away, I'm like, man, I wish that kid Hunter was around, because I know I could write something for like him, or like now after meeting
he was just in Vegas.
Yeah. After meeting God, but he shared some of his short films with me. Like you start, I was in acting class with Sarah, but Sarah watched my films and she's like, dude, like I want to act with you now. So I think it's just your influences around you, plus what you end up, who you end up loving and growing up and idolizing when you're younger, but yeah, no, where was I going?
You were talking about the fact that, like,
so we all, he was like, I want to film something while I'm here. Is that going to be too much? I'm like, I mean, you leave Monday, Sunday, we'd have to film something extremely short. And then I posted.
Is that too much? It's a lot.
I mean, but I told my wife, I told everyone, I was like, man, this is like, I would do this like my whole weekend was film related. It was film festival. It was meeting people. And then I'm filming that Sunday. And then Ryan, who did Girl from the Ground, was like, I could DP it. I'll ask Christian, which I've known for a while now. And he ran sound, and his friend, was it Darren? I'm sorry. Darian hopped on set, and then one of the actresses, Regina from When a Blind Man Cries. So it was nice that I got to work with some people for the first time, which was Darian and Christian. But I mean, knowing Christian, I felt like it was not going to be difficult to work with him. Right. So we ended up doing like a 8-page comedic short that was loosely based on, like, it was a very Seinfeld-esque, while talking about my character pretty much not getting laid because I was watching a Seinfeld episode. And we got to film at Garden State Distillery, which they were like so cool. Wow. We got to film there in the morning. They let us rearrange our whole room. It was really sweet. And then shout out to my wife, Jess, for letting us shoot at our apartment all afternoon with a 2-year-old who just wanted to get home and watch some Mickey. Oh, yeah. But no, it was fun. We shot it, I think, in like 8 or 9 hours with travel. Everyone was just down. Everyone was like collaborative. Everyone was like, I was telling him as we were coming in, like everyone was just like we were just laughing. Like it was a comedy. So I think like you have that energy on set is already going to be, I think, a little like loose and goofy, even like when I was shooting my film without, we were all like laugh. Like it wasn't a set where like you were filming a drama, it was like, we were all like having a good time. I think that's very important, but yeah, I'm just, I just finished.
Well, when's that going to wrap? I mean, like
it's wrapped. Jesse says he wants it to be completely done by August.
Okay.
Which, Christian is editing it for us as well, and but yeah, and then I'm starting to almost finish editing another short film of mine, which is a comedy. So I've gotten to do like back-to-back comedies, which, I think I'm just more so like, I don't know why I ever left doing comedies or why I branched out doing more. I like doing other genres, but like just the comedies are just I have memories from that set. It was an 8-hour day. It was silly. It was fun. And it's like that's kind of what I like gravitating towards.
I know I have no mic, so I'm making short, but comedy and drama are so entwined with each other that it's not surprising that like you went from drama and then returning to comedy.
Yeah.
Christian says he doesn't have a mic, but he's not surprised because comedy and drama are entwined.
Yeah.
And yes, and I agree.
No,
I can't wait to see it, guys.
But it made like everyone just had connections. Like Jesse's like, I would definitely come back to Jersey again to film something. Christian and Jesse, I felt like you guys hit it off. Like everyone just hit it off really well, and it was a great weekend of connections, honestly. And I loved seeing everyone's. Yeah,
the hardest he's left in
Yeah.
a long time.
yeah, we just kept having a good time. It was.
All I'll say is that there's a shot where he had to pretend to watch Seinfeld.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was fun. I made Regina break, and I'm pretty happy I made her break because she made everyone break on When a Blind Man Cries. So when you're doing comedies, I feel like that's the goal, is to make your co-stars break, and yeah, I mean it's fun.
Right, that's cool. That's cool. I can't wait to be
That
on
is freaking awesome.
comedy film with you.
Well,
We have some ideas, so
Hint.
yeah, no.
yeah.
I know I throw it out there all the time. One of these days.
I mean, I keep saying we just got
Hey,
to
dude, what's up?
make a film about. It has to be extremely meta. We have to do a film about a film festival,
Yeah.
because I think the stuff you see is
Right.
Love story and film festival.
yeah
Love story, yeah.
speed dating.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well,
We'll figure it out.
we will be unpacking this year's Hang On to Your Shorts Film Festival for the next couple of podcasts. To all the filmmakers that came down, all the actors, everyone that had a hand, the people that watch movies. Thank you so much out of the depths of our hearts.
I forgot the girl's name, the teenage girl, but shout out. She came from Atlanta.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh,
yes.
she's
Shout out
amazing.
to her and her mother and her friend who came. Like I forgot but they came from Atlanta to support the festival. Hunter and his I think family came from Virginia.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's really important. Shout
It
out to
was
the
Allegra Novikov.
Yes,
from Bus.
they
Stop,
both won
right?
the Rising Star
From
Award.
Bus Stop. Yes.
Yep.
And
And,
they were amazing people. Oh,
Shout out to that random couple who just showed up Friday night because they saw it in like the Red Bank, like what to
Oh.
do in town.
Yeah, that was even.
That was awesome.
that was surprising too because we had no part in that at all.
And
No.
what about the dude that met everybody over at Jamie's?
His name is
My-
Alex
Yes, he just
Augustus. I
moved
forgot.
to Red Bank. My sister thought he was the coolest young man in the world. He just showed up, moved to Red Bank with the hopes of meeting people, and
He's in the industry. I think he does like motion graphics and music. Anthony Augusta.
Yeah.
Look at that. So, yes, that's the magic,
Yep.
of coming together and doing something like Hang On to Your Shorts Film Festival. We hope to involve more people, for next year. And hey, thank you so much out of the depths of our heart. Thank you, Ming, even though you're traveling the world right now.
I believe he's in.
He just left Alaska.
And
He's
then
someplace
went to
else.
Canada. He's in. Is he British Columbia or is on his way back?
Just
Where
throw.
in the world?
Where? Yeah.
Throw a dart at
where-
him.
That is going to be one of the films that I wanted to make. Is Where in the World is Ming?
Yes.
I talked to you about that little script. It was going to be one that we were going to shoot. I don't want to give too much away,
No.
Are you
but
serious?
yeah, I was.
Yes.
Well, he doesn't know this, but I did tell him.
We
And I-
wanted
and
to
I-
make a film like where we're trying to find Ming, essentially.
Right. Like he seems to be everywhere and nowhere, and then like we're in the Eatontown where with the other building used to.
This is what happens when you try to call him and you're like, okay, where is he? Where are you?
Right. So
Yes.
Throw a dart at a map, and wherever it lands, that's where he's
That's
at.
where
Right,
he's
right.
where Ming's at.
You'd
and-
probably be right.
Yes.
Exactly.
and he's having fun because Brian was supposed to be at the whatchamacallit, Brian O'Halloran. I'm calling him Brian like I'm calling him on the phone on a regular basis.
Dante was supposed to
They were supposed to be at
the secret
Secret
stash.
Stash, and I see a picture on Instagram come up, and it's Ming, it's Brian, it's Ming, the dad from Shazam, who I don't know his name. I'm sorry about that. And another guy from Walking Dead. They were all hanging outside a bar, like getting ready to go in. They took a picture, and I said to Brian, I said, "Look, if you're hanging out with Ming, you're gonna have a blast." I said, so have fun, and like let us know when you're gonna reschedule for being at the Secret Stash and stuff like that. So shout out to Brian, shout out to Ming.
Yes, and to our families for your patience.
Yeah.
Diana, AJ, I love you guys. This was all consuming for a while, and we're just kind of like getting our breath back. And last but definitely not least, you guys, thank you. This is such a fun ride, Christian. It was great having you there.
Yeah, bud, that was very cool.
And our last podcast before the fest, you made it.
That was my
you
God.
made it. You made it fun. Yes.
Yes. I think it was. Look, this was my favorite one. I didn't get a chance. I don't know where my.
Don't worry about it.
Your gun
It's
dropped
fine.
in. You dropped your gun.
It's my gun. I know we're not supposed to have guns up here, but
It's Apple gun.
Right. No, I have to say that this has been the most fun I had at a festival that I was working at, or that we were working at, in like years, even prior to COVID. Like back in the day when we were first kicking this off, and we had the brick wall down the street, and we had Porta, all the fun people at Smith Group. Thank you always. But we had no sponsors this year. But I thought this was just a really, really good time. I'm really glad that you hung out and spent the day with us, and I'm thanking your wife and your child for us. And of course, as always, my main man here, who's taking care of biz all the time. I can't thank you enough. There wouldn't be a film festival without him. So
without any of us. So,
stop it.
And without Jack Foley. Thank you, brother.
Jack Foley. Yes. Shout out to Jack, because that man definitely put in his
time, and he continues to do so, which, he's gonna, we really appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah.
So, hey guys, we can ramble on forever, but I just want to say till next podcast, 2 weeks from now.
Yes.
It's been an honor. Peace.
Cheers.